Hello, lovely learneds. Welcome back to ALifeLearned. I am actually recording this during the break time that I was taking for my channel, but things are really fresh in terms of what I want to talk about in this video, so I figured I should record it now, and I'll just post it later. But I'm struggling a lot with my recovery of the whole court experience, and one of the hardest things I'm really coming to find with basically having come out about my abuse is basically what it is. That's what abuse victims feel like they have to do, in a sense, is the people who don't believe me. And I've only ever really started to encounter this since the court case has ended, because I have started to approach and encounter people that my adoptive father, my abuser, had spoken with prior to the case, and the explanations that he offered for the whole court situation were different from one person to the next, but they summarized along the lines of that I made all or part of it up out of upset or unhappiness over him. Either some people it was that he didn't buy me a car, other people it's that he had apparently stopped giving me money, and I'm sure there's other reasons beyond that as well, but all generally financial, and that I had been upset with him, and so I had made up these false claims, is what he said. He actually went so far as to also say to some people that the only sexual interaction that ever happened between us was after the age of 18 and was entirely consensual to his understanding, or his perception, and thus denying any of the rape that occurred from the age of 14 to 18, and yeah, implying that the time between 18 and what was it, 20, before I finally got away, was somehow consensual. And it's just so difficult for me, because it has forced me to learn the lesson many of us struggle with, I think, that the summary many of us hear is, what other people think of you is none of your business. Another way that I just heard it reworded in a vlog yesterday, which was advice on how to deal with narcissists, actually. This person said, basically, something to say to a narcissist is, I accept your false perception of me, and I accept that I cannot control your false perception of me. You have every right to believe whatever you want about me. I can't control that. That's not on me, or any way in my ability to have influence on, if you choose to think things that aren't true, or that are based on wrong information or lack of information. And it makes a lot of sense, but it still hurts that these people think these false things. And then just the fact that people could think, like, that I would make it up, like, I mean, okay, so you need to approach this from the perspective of someone who's being told by someone else they've known for a long time, this person has raised a sexual assault case against me, but I swear it's not true. False claims, these are all the reasons. Generally, in order for any average person to be able to continue to associate with that person that they've now been told is being accused of sexual assault, is to believe that person. You'd have to believe them that the claims are false in order to continue facing them at all. So in that sense, it makes a lot of sense why some people believe him, or believed him, about the claims being false. But on the grand scheme of his explanation, it doesn't make sense. Because I'm sure he's told stories of me being malicious, and I haven't been. There's no evidence of that. And it's so overwhelming and upsetting, and I don't really know why, because it's false It's not true that these people believe well, it is true that these people will believe things. What they're believing isn't true. It just hurts that they can't put two and two together. He also claimed that the main reason that he pled and went through the case was because he didn't want me charged with perjury. I just need to clarify something for everyone right now. I've done a bunch of research now that I've faced these accusations, because it really hurts to deal with this, and the fact of the matter is only 2% of all cases of sexual assault accusations have ever been proven to be false claims. 2% of all of them. And the rest, even if they were mistrials or if they didn't go forward or what didn't end up in a conviction, that doesn't mean that it didn't happen or the judge didn't believe them. There was just some mess up in the system, some mess up in the testimony, some lack of credibility. Lack of credibility does not equal it didn't happen. There's a lot that goes into a credible witness. Emotional stability is one of those things which is really fucking hard when you're a victim of abuse. So that's a really important thing to know. 2%. Fucking small number. Another thing. Perjury it's not a thing of abuse victims. There is no set up legislation or way in any sense, law, that allows a person to just come back and charge with perjury, or allows the government to charge a person with perjury over making a false abuse claim. What can happen is if a case goes forward and then the person is found not guilty, they can then sue the accuser for the right to then have them charged with perjury. That's a lot longer of a process, and the person who defended themselves has to pursue suing the other person who accused. So if he's claiming that he went through the case in order to prevent me from being charged with perjury because he cared, then all he had to do is defend himself and then walk away, and nobody would have been charged with anything. But these people don't do their research. They just believe things at face value, and then they form their opinions, and there's this unfortunate taint to people coming out about their abuse because of that 2% of people who, for one reason or another, lied. And I still believe that anyone who chooses to lie is still in a difficult situation of mental illness or social cornering where they need help one way or another. That person definitely needs help, and maybe both people in the situation need help. But it's just such a rare thing on the grand scheme of things, that to have people believe that it drives me nuts. And it's forced me to have to come to this lesson of, as I said, that you can't control other people's perception of you, and you have to accept that they have a right to their own false perceptions of you. And I'm sure a lot of other victims can relate to the fact of just how incredibly hard it is to work yourself up to telling people the truth about what's happened, and then to have them actually be skeptical of you. Just the agony, the shame, there's so much around this that no one could ever wish for. Why would anyone be false about it? Yes, there is that 2%, but I'm sure that once they get through the initial agony of the accusation, they eventually regret it, because it's not an easy process, and a lot of times the truth comes out in the end because it's a very thorough process and torturous, and yeah. So I guess overall I'm struggling with accepting that people don't understand me for who I am, don't see me for my good intentions, don't see that I was only ever trying to help my abuser by reporting him. and even help, the public by stopping him from hurting people. And instead, they just see me as the evil character in the situation. It's a hard thing to deal with. Working on it, though. Anyways, yeah, if you guys can relate to this at all in any way, please do feel free, as always, to comment below. Oops, sorry again. And as always, feel free to email me or message me if you'd like to vent or chat about your own experiences, or get a little advice or anything like that. And as always, please do join me again next week, where I try again to share a little something I've learned or experienced in life.